Hey everybody, Ryan Lovelace here. I wanted to kind of give you guys a little walkthrough on the design, kind of basics and elements of the Pedestrian Ship. I kind of wanted to treat shaping this board like shaping Rasta something custom. So I worked a bit of stuff that I know he has history with, and some kind of question marks in there as well. The outline, I kind of used an older model of mine called the Piggyback and updated it. I pushed the wide point forward a bit to make it a little more balanced nose to tail. The rocker is pretty moderate, nothing too crazy, nice kind of even long bend. But that being said, the rocker on the rail is different than the rocker in the center because of that weird channel down the middle. What that channel's doing is kind of harnessing a little bit of rail-to-rail speed, but adding a ton of release in the board also. You'll notice in the middle there's a really steep, narrow V, basically directing the water under your foot, under the arch of your foot, rail to rail, so keeping it really loose, while the flat sides kind of next to it on either side are keeping a ton of skate speed in the board still. So there's a lot of planing speed and then a lot of kind of agility and looseness in the board. And then you'll notice forward also that channel runs all the way up through the nose into a really wide kind of flat single concave. And so what that's doing is taking the center line rocker of the board and lessening that so it paddles faster and has basically a heavier gas pedal under your front foot. The deck shape of the board is pretty flat, nothing too crazy there. There's a pretty good bevel heading down to the rails just to keep some thickness, but then keep the rail sensitive. The rails are 70-30 kind of down rails. I wanted to kind of bridge the gap between kind of a retro and a modern shortboard rail. So there's enough softness to hold a ton of power on rail, but also enough kind of down and edginess to the bottom of it to keep it really on top of the water and skating. One of the things that is really unique about this board in particular that I did for the acid test, you'll notice those black lines down the rail, and that's a parabolic stringer. And what that's doing is tuning the flex nose to tail torsionally. Not so much just like a nose to tail bend, but a whole board twist. A lot more dynamic flex pattern than a standard stringer, but we can also get that same flex pattern with carbon rails. They're a little bit more common, but this was the blank I had on hand, and so that's what I went with. In chatting with Dave, it sounds like that was kind of the biggest part about the board that he connected with, which really excited me because it was really unique but really fun to play with. So all in all, the Pedestrian Ship is essentially a performance fish. Definitely not like a classic keel fish or anything like that. It's more on the side of performance shortboard alternatives, but still flat enough and with enough volume to keep you skating on top of the water, but round enough and pulled enough in the tail to keep you in the pocket. I hope some of that made sense to you. Thanks for hanging out, and take it easy.
Anytime somebody likes a board, that's awesome, but for him to like a board is that's like really awesome.
It's definitely this. It's the acid bit. It's all about the oddness. There is newness in this. There's totally a new area with this board, and Lovelace, yes.